Anarchist blog from OWS. Occupy Kiss. 3 a.m. across from Zuccotti, January 8th, 2012. I wake up as the 2 train rumbles into Penn Station, 34th Street. Next stop, Times Square. Shit, I missed it. I stand and stretch, and then reach for my navy blue Titan's duffel. I mutter something to a fellow occupier about being at the McDonald's across from the park, and exit at 42nd Street. It's 3:30 on a Monday morning, and for some reason, I feel compelled to get back to Lower Manhattan, as if I had a job there, as if I lived there. Maybe I left something there. Excuse me. Too many bean burritos today. It was Taco Tuesday yesterday, and my parents brought me home a whole bunch of bean burritos. It was so good. Bean burritos plus joints equals fucking gassiness. That's what it equals. We all found something there. Something addictive. Let's see, I came straight off of the plane from JFK, November 1st, cross-country flight. That morning I arrived around 6:30 a.m., climbed up out of the subway and asked the nearest cop which way to Zuccotti. What did it first look like? Real, I guess. Like people living here, real. The small details of a village rubbing the sleep from its eyes. Me walking through bright-eyed and cheerful like Belle from some Disney movie. Bonjour, anarchist at the info desk. Bonjour, kitchen starting to prep for breakfast. Bonjour, free cigarette table. Bonjour, occupier I just stepped on. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. A cartoon world, if you will. 2.5 months ago, a beating and arrest ago, a couple of working groups ago, more bad meetings than good ago, way too many cigarettes ago, various drugs and an art model ago, an occupied farm ago, an occupied office ago, train rides ago, a lifetime ago. And now I'm at McDonald's because I registered this domain the first week of November, and it's still all lorem ipsum. What's going on here, I thought to myself a couple months ago. Maybe it would be good to document my fact-finding self-improvement journey. But as most people can attest, keeping a regular journal is nearly impossible in the real world. And in the revolution, well, yeah, the first post 70 days later. Sparkles for getting shit done eventually. Sound very hard on myself. See, you project a lot of stuff. We're our only limitations, truly. Don't get me wrong. I have tons of notes which I'll try to unload in later posts, and in which Shaz joins the archives, and in which Shaz uncovers spies, and in which Shaz is uncovered as a spy, and in which Shaz accuses Jackson Brown of being a spy, and in which Shaz encounters mind-altering drugs and mind-altered women, and in which Shaz finds and loses a Woodstock farm, and in which Shaz proposes at the General Assembly divide up all the funds out among occupiers. Let me go back over here. Tons of notes. Joins the archive, so I went over that. Uncover spies. I had my game of all right, is this person on the up and up? Uncovered as a spy. I was staying at this one fucking hostel where one of the girls was working there, and then we could stay in the empty beds when they weren't booked up. And so we had 4 or 5 beds continuously covered by us. Or maybe they were getting money from the fucking General Assembly or something. Someone's getting paid. Sometimes you think people are just doing stuff out of the goodness of their heart, and you find out through back channels that they're actually getting money for it. But they get to also look like they're being very generous too, because it's all under the table shit. Anyways, yeah, and I had just gone and seen Shah's mom. Shaw's mom said that she had some shit. We just started this video. What am I worried about? Shaw's mom said that she had some shit for me, some like shoes and shit that I could use during the winter. So I went to see her, and she just saw me like all fucking disheveled and fucking skinny and shit on the street. And her mom, fucking Shaw's mom, and we got into it in Puerto Rico. Oh, this is later on. All right, I won't tell that part yet. But yeah, her mom never really fucking like trusted me. I came to dinner the first when I was first dating Shaw. I came to fucking have that Latin dinner with her family. And fucking her mom was there and her dad, and they get lobster and this and that. And I don't really, shellfish isn't really my thing, so I'm not like the neatest or the fanciest or the most appreciative even. They're like, how was it? I'm like, it's all right. Shellfish isn't really my thing. I'm just like, I'm honest to a fault, I guess. I just, if it was good, I tell you it was good. But like, it's all right. I'm not picky with food as long as it doesn't poison me. But that's not the best compliment to give someone, especially like your girlfriend's parents or. But yeah, and then the dad pulls out the Mama Juana or something. It's like fucking some whiskey or some shit or some liquor that's been like tequila maybe. It's something. But it has like cinnamon and spices and all this other shit. So when you drink it, it's like fucking like, it's flavorful. And we just drink until he starts crying and talking about how fucked up his daughter is. And, oh my gosh, what's gonna go on with my daughter? And I'm like, all right, that's cool. I could enjoy a nice drunk with someone without getting on their emotional level, but still enjoying it. It's like, that's what we're doing right now. That's cool. It's all good. She's like, she's not that bad. I like her. She's like, oh, father. Like, what? She's like, oh, I don't know. I forgot what she calls him. Anyways, funny shit. That's only one little memory. But, yeah, that's when I first was dating Shaw. And so, I think her dad's from Honduras and her mom's from El Salvador. And, she would tell me a story how her dad, when he first joined the military, he went and he bought himself 2-liter soda and a cake, and he ate the whole cake and he drank the whole 2 liter and then he threw up because he was money. First time money's in your pocket, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna buy my fucking cake and my 2-liter soda. I've thrown up many times. First time money or something gets in your pocket. My friend, she messaged me today. What did she say? I have to say this because I mentioned earlier that she said she was gonna stop doing heroin. And then she messaged me, and I don't check my emails often, or I check them when I notice them. She said, we were emailing back and forth, and I was teasing her. She was like, don't worry, I'm going to stop it. I found some fentanyl in my shit. And she says, on December 9th, yo, I OD'd. I just felt like telling you. I'm fine, just accidentally stopped breathing for a bit. Not sure what to do. Don't say I told you so. And that was like, what day is it? Today's Wednesday, December 12th. So it's like, well, fuck. So we'll see if she gets this email. I mean, she might not get it. I said, you're going to die with my fucking earring on, and I'll never get it back now. Because I lost an earring at her place, and she found it, and she sent me a picture of it recently. So I said, dishonorable asshole move. Because we talk about being honorable assholes, or you could have a strong personality, but like still try to be honorable. Don't be dishonorable. So it's like, it'd be dishonorable for her to die with my earring without me getting it back. Like, she should at least live long enough to give me that earring, right? But seriously, most people go their whole lives without knowing how to fall off the tree. You're just yanking at your stem like it's a job. I don't know if this makes you a good apple, but whatever you're doing, I'm sure you expressed yourself, however long or short the sentence. So tell me what's good. Because I was thinking about that this morning, about like how like apples falling off a tree and like with your life. It's like, if we're just the fruiting bodies of whatever experience which has gotten a hold of us and animated us or whatever, or like, does an apple have consciousness? It has our frame of reference, a fruiting and a falling. But we have a fruiting and a falling from some frame of reference beyond ourselves, of just this thing that's just growing like a mole, and we're just like a species. We're like ants to some reference of the universe. Everything is proportional somehow, so anyways. I guess maybe those are defense mechanisms to not deal with like fucking. But I think it all stems from not letting people get one over on you. It's just like, how can I feel bad for her? It's like, some things you just have to decide not to do. You just have to decide not to do opiates or heroin. It's like, I joked around and did them with her, but I've never been tempted to make that my personality. We're all becoming something. You're going to become the fucking heroin person or the fucking opioid person. It's like, why? Now you have those problems. Now you have those fucking cliches to live out. Those lines are fucking, why don't it become something new? The well-worn cliches for people who are too Scared of being vulnerable in the real world. I don't know. It's a self-esteem thing. There's something going on. A lot of these ideas. But anyway, so that's what I told her. I said, told her my apple idea I had this morning, that you're just yanking at your stem like it's your job. I don't know if that makes you a good apple, though. I don't know if it's fucking enlightenment in order to tempt fate too much. I think it's... Anyways, I don't know. I should probably talk to people more on the phone. Maybe I should call her. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I'm like, you have to follow your instinct. If I feel like talking to people, I'll talk to people. I don't feel like talking to people right now. I emailed her. She knows I'm thinking about her. That's the most important thing. You don't have to have the right words, but you reach out to people just to let them know you're thinking about them. So when I saw that, I'm like, well, fuck, I should have probably responded to this when she sent it to me instead of 3 days later. Yo, I OD'd Chaz, and then 3 days later, I'm like, word? I mean, but like, she's the type of fucking bitch who was like, I fucking did heroin with her, and I almost fell over, and I fucking wobbled, and she just looked at me, she's like, don't be a little bitch on me. And I'm like, what, dude, we're fucking, that's bad. I shouldn't, I think I shouldn't do drugs with this person anymore. Don't get me wrong, I have tons of notes, which I'll try to unload in later posts. Okay, anyways. Oh, fucking A, that hostel. I was at that hostel. This better not take more than an hour. Fucking 12 minutes in. I was at the hostel, and then fucking, that's because I had to introduce Shaw's parents. So Shaw's mom is giving me some fucking shoes, and she's like, oh, my husband has some beer down here if you want it. I don't know if she thought that it looked like I needed a beer, but I was like, yeah, I'll take whatever beers you could give me. So she gave me like a 6-pack of beers too. Fucking the shoes and some other shit. So I'm walking back to the hostel that night, feeling good, already a couple beers in. And they're having a meeting. And, but before that, we had meetings previously that week. And some girl, they were talking about May's coming up. I think this is early January. This is before I go over to the fucking church. And they're like, no, this is after the church, because these are the people who survived after the church, actually. But this just gives you an idea of, like, so at the church, I kicked out the fucking rat. I feel like some people, if you have a knack at organizing or leadership or character or something, I could just keep stuff chill. So even if I don't get into leadership, I could tell when shit's fucked up. Like that church, I could tell that guy was just fucking shit up. Whether maliciously or not, he shouldn't be in a position of authority, because he was the one who was allowing all the bullshit to happen. And that's what it is. You'll have a lot of people just milling about in social groups, and you need to have some sort of take charge people. I don't have to be it, but like, I know when, like, I'm like second or third in line. Like, some people don't like to fucking do that much work. Some people like to be that person. So, but like, who keeps an eye on those people? And that's what my theory of society is right now. Once I step up and other people step up and say we're getting into politics, it's a whole different type of game. It's a whole different types of people are going to be involved now. This is it. This isn't the same old conversation. I went to the hostel, and they're having these meetings, and this girl was like, yo, fucking May's coming up or some shit or whatever. Yeah, May. She said, we should do something big for May. And this girl talks about doing something big, and then someone brings up somehow doing duffel bags and putting them in the subways, and they could be like explosives, and someone brings up, no, dude, I'm not fucking with explosives. And we're just sitting around talking and smoking joint or something, and they were like, no. And it's a mixed group, guys and girls. And like, one of the girls was cute. She started dating this other guy I knew. So like, I knew fucking people were like social in that group. And fucking, they were like, yeah, I wondered about that, because there's this one girl who was cute, and we were in the basement once, and we were talking, and then that was her room in the basement where she was, and then I fucking like walked in her room, and I sat in her bed. I was just talking to her, and she didn't fucking like tell me like leave or anything or get out, and then fucking I just left after a minute. But I was just like, I still had that island swag where I was like, all right, well, fucking, shit's about to go down, shit's about to go down. We're just kind of waiting for it, because like on the island usually something happens. But then, like, back here in the States, I noticed that there is a different speed of life and a different fucking... It's not just assumed that everyone's just, like, horny and about to fuck. over there, if you're alone or if you're in a corner or fucking like, if it's just assumed that like if I lean in or if we're like together, there's for a reason. I think not. It's a lot more. It's like fucking because you have like basically single tours. It attracts a lot of single tourists, that island does. So you pretty much you have a immediacy to everything. That like living life. I don't know. The revolution gave that. So that's why that's why people hooked up and fucking and Occupy. There's this immediacy to life. It's like these are connections that like everything about this is crazy. But yeah, so fucking they were running that bullshit about like fucking fake bombs in the subway. I just tried to educate everyone real quick. I was like, yo, if you do shit like that, even if they're not real bombs, they could charge you as if you put real bombs in there because of the panic and everything else that you're trying to do. And also, just fucking, even if you guys don't go through with this type of plan, but talking about this, other people can make money off of fucking like incriminating you. Like there's people out there making commissions, like 10, 15, $30,000 by getting groups of people to do stupid shit. So like that was like I was trying to as polite as I can without accusing anyone of anything, being like, yo, this isn't fucking conversations that lead to any good places. These always fucking get you in trouble. These are like you never start a conversation that gets someone else in trouble. How does secret shit get planned? That's none of my business. It's none of your business unless you're trying to fucking do secret shit. And if you're trying to do secret shit, why are you telling me? I'm obviously a transparent person. My social security number on my own. So I guess that's what I always try to do. My last resort is just like, I don't even got to explain everything else to anyone else. I don't fucking, that's not my, I'm not trying to get fucking involved. I'm trying to know what I am and am not involved in so I can take a full accounting of my life. And fucking, yeah, it's just interesting. So yeah, that's why stuff like that, when it's in my presence, I don't even like, it's not like I keep my peace either. I'm like, this is what I'm all about, and I'm out. And then sure enough, I was out. So the next meeting, I come in with those beers from Shah's mom, and they're like, yeah, they're like, we had a meeting and we think that you should leave. You're displaying suspicious activity. Because when I was in the basement before that girl came down and we started talking for a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is your room, this is cool. And I came in, but in my mind, it was just like, is the door open? I didn't really get the vibe. Fucking, just feeling her out. And then also, that's been more efficient in my life because I sort of gather information, make a decision on my part, not so much a verbalized conversation back and forth, which leads to less BS. It's like, if it's going to happen, it's usually going to happen. And if it's not, I've usually decided, like before, like when the girl's like, fucking, you're not respecting me saying no when she was riding me on top. I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna happen. We're done. I'm not gonna have sex with a girl that communicates to me like that. But before I saw that girl in the basement, I was looking through the CDs. I had a laptop and they had all these CDs. So I was like glancing through and I was like, I was gonna fucking burn the CDs onto the laptop to have some music. And the girl comes down. She's like, oh, what are you? And I was doing some laundry too. And she was like, what are you, maybe you shouldn't be glancing through that stuff. They might get upset because we're at like a hostel or like, I think also people live there. And in my mind, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to burn some of these. So I guess I was like not really paying attention to social boundaries or something like that. She thought that was like, so they brought that up. They're like, well, you're looking through stuff. I was like, I was just going to burn some CDs. I don't know. Maybe that was rude of me, but like, I was going to put them back. It's like, but yeah, but I knew it was because of the other night because I brought up their whole little bomb in the subway idea was all bullshit. It's like, who knows? Maybe there were 5 agents and just me, and I'm like the lone person, and like all of them are trying to. There has to be like some fucking dumbasses in there who are actually sincere, who are fucking, or maybe they were all sincere and they're all just sincerely stupid. But either way, by living my path, I listened to them all, and I was like, I had the beer, and I was gonna share the beer, so I was just drinking it while they were talking to me, and by the time they were done talking to me, I was done with the beer, and I was like, all right, that's cool, I guess. Like, you guys could do you. It is what it is, isn't it? I was just entertained by the whole thing. It's like, I'm the person who fucking walked in drinking beer and walked out drinking beer. So like, I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, off to the next adventure. But the good thing about that and living your values is also that you edit a lot of bullshit out of your life. It's like, whether fucking they're malicious intent or just dumbasses, it's like, people who talk that way maybe there's some types of people. They're not my type of people. That's okay. You ain't got to hang out with everyone. You don't got to be cool with everyone. Otherwise, the world would be confusing. There should be separate groups, separate shit. But, yeah, so I thought that was funny. I wanted to at least tell that story once. And then where did I go after that? I don't know. Started fucking a lot of trains, a lot of squatting. Yeah, I was getting down the squatting days right at the very end when I was fucking, like, down on it. And all of us, like, filtered, like, the dregs filtered to that fucking anarchist squat. It wasn't even an anarchist squat. There are two, one in East New York, too, but I was in Bushwick. This guy just stopped paying rent and just let us crash there. And as long as they kick him down drugs or some money or something or food, we'd dumpster dive. We'd always get food back to the house. That last one was actually last night. That's probably as good a place as any to start this story. From the present, let's see. Resource management has been a problem since the beginning of this occupation, it seems. Supply Kitchen, the occupied office, who kindly told me to shut the fuck up and leave Sunday morning because I was no longer on the list. No one seemed to appreciate my comment on that being how they got the Jews. That's edgy. This was in my edgy days of comedy. That was my early material. Let's call it blue comedy is what they say in the industry. Monday being the mother of all resources, I came up with a genius idea of doing flash reform in one shot. Divide that mother up. Granted, this epiphany came to me while walking through Zuccotti, stoned, on Thanksgiving. But I hope in the end this can turn out to be a positive drug story, like the Beatles altered their state of consciousness and in doing so altered the course of pop music. Or maybe I'm just the guy who leaps from the roof thinking he can fly. What did Bill Hicks say? Why didn't that asshole try it from the ground first? One more idiot's dead. Good. I felt the earth just get lighter. It's edgy. This is Shaz's edgy phase. I was very edgy as a teenager. They've tabled my proposal until Tuesday, so I've been granted a reprieve. The buyout buy-in proposal survives in agenda limbo for a couple more days, which gives me a couple more days to try and garner some online support if I can find a computer to type these paper ramblings into a coherent blog post. Occupied Zuccotti was also a functional laptop ago. Thank you, New York's finest. I think I found my reason for coming back, my addiction to the NYPD's tough love. My God, I've become a battered housewife and a frequenter of McDonald's. Somebody, anybody, click on the donation button or at least put me out of my misery. I can see canvassing for Obama in my near future. Dear God. Dear God. Schoolgirls and Accounting, January 9th, 2012. Nice thing about riding through the night is that you start the morning early, if not completely useless. I started Monday morning in McDonald's writing longhand into my black spiral-bound notebook. The notebook was a reminder of when I had office access, which meant I had office supply access. You don't really appreciate the little things until they're gone. I'm reminded of a time I was staying at a hostel, which was closing down within a couple days, something about not being able to afford the renovations to keep up with the building codes. Some school teachers pounced on their office supplies. It turns out these are hot commodities in the times of budget cutbacks. But back to revolution. I've been riding between two homeless sleeping occupiers for the past couple of hours, and it's approaching that time. When the shift changes and the new manager comes in, they start to notice the patrons without the Happy Meals. The guy next to me has his head thrown back mid-snore. Perhaps if I find some bits of burger and wrapper to dangle from the corner of his mouth, dress him up a bit. Edgy. This is edgy stuff. So a half hour later, I find myself on a couple blocks down Wall Street at our nerve center, 60 Wall. The occupied office would like to be on Nerve Center, but that's just something about multiple access checkpoints, an anonymous, undisclosed donor, paid activists, and closed-door practices. that doesn't sit well with the populace. Or maybe they just prefer the higher ceilings of 60 Wall. We had the occupied office tried to be our fucking headquarters, but then 60 Wall is this huge atrium where everyone would go and fucking meet up anyway. So it was like it was like the people's gathering versus the office. That's really good for the writing, Shaz. For the writing, if you're writing this book about Occupy Wall Street, you need the people's gathering at 60 Wall. That's the people. That's the General Assembly. That is the force humana, the publica, the citizens and the people of Rome. People in the Senate, what is it? Anyways, it's interesting. And then the office was the executives, the bureaucrats, the technocrats even, the philanthropists even. It was anonymous, undisclosed donor even, and giving us this, oh, here, just have the office. Shaz like a little monkey just jerking off to fucking porn at night. Only once, and it wasn't porn. It was YouTube. I kept it classy and PG. But we would sleep in the office. I slept with a girl in the office. Not like with the girl, but I'm sure people have fucked in the... I only fucked myself in the office. But I'm sure there's other people who fucked other people in the office. Yeah, they had parties and shit. That's why we got kicked out. That's why we got kicked out of everything. Because it's just a party when it wasn't a job. And it was just a job when it wasn't a party. Fucking, we just didn't fucking define what we were doing because everyone's too chicken shit to fucking lead. Because we've been abused historically and deprived of our story and of our confidence. Our fucking sense of fucking self-worth. It's a shame. It's interesting. This is a coordinators meeting, 10 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We used to hold one every morning, but then people have been trying to make our orgs more efficient. You might know the girl who spearheaded reforming this particular meeting. She walked CNN through the occupied office. Funny thing about reform in this movement, it always seems to have a chorus of familiar voices. God bless the noble few. This should be our motto in this movement. And God damn the homeless. Yeah, you find the same type of same people trying to get in control or in power in these little bureaucracies that spring up. I'm glad I said that she walked CNN through the office. So then I could just look up that CNN piece on the occupied office and I could find this girl. See, another person to interview. Fuck, I'm already halfway through my quota for this post and I haven't described shit. Let's edgy Shaz. I'm choosing to fucking open and close that paragraph with curse words. Edgy. Let's see. The important thing about that morning meeting, other than my report back about Occupy forums, everything's roses. We've got a farm in Woodstock. Come up to ride a horse sometimes. Oh, it was interesting to watch the guy from media lay into the guy from finance. This is out of 4 people in attendance. That's another thing. These meetings are supposed to be for the coordination of Occupy Wall Street's working groups. Over 100 people. 4 dudes. So this media guy says in point blank, you guys fucked up. You fucked up from the beginning and the blame is completely at your feet or something to that effect. And he's older and more New York than me, so he has a way with foul language. Basically blamed finance for not only our money issues, but our identity issues and everything else that seems to be fracturing the movement, and rightfully so, in my opinion. Weeks ago, I asked finance why they don't perform an independent audit to create a blank slate. This was after I learned that they had just started to implement electronic data entry 2 months after receiving donations that totaled well over $500,000 now. Now, I don't care if you're our Lord and Savior himself. George Soros, anyone? Keeping track of that much dough using just paper receipts is begging for funding money to have it. I should know. I used to sell insurance, not car insurance, not where you're throwing $100, $150 broker fees on top of a couple $100 of premium. I'm gunning for that $30,000, $60,000, $100,000 plus premiums. Funny side note, although I never stuck in it long enough to make a real career, once the state of California sent me a following letter. Dear Mr. So-and-so, the average person with your professional licenses and years of experience makes X number of dollars. We want our cut. I understand your parents getting on your case for not living up to your expectations, but when the tax man chimes in, you really have to question the decisions you made in life. I'm really hard on myself back then. Shaz, cheer up, Shaz. You're okay. Everything will work out. You'll make your money eventually. But back to homeless adventures in Wall Street. Having that type of change filtering through my hands, even when I was only collecting a couple hundred or even $5 processing fees, is called a fiduciary responsibility. There's two ways to handle it. Jotting down notes on paper is not one of those ways. There are ways to handle it. Jotting down notes on paper is not one of those ways. Now, people are funny when it comes to money in this movement. It's almost like trying to talk about sex to a bunch of Catholic schoolgirls. Everyone's stonewalling you, and yet you have a suspicion they're all the kinkiest freaks behind closed doors. Rawr, rawr, rawr. I should know. I used to date an ex-Catholic schoolgirl. Sweetheart. Grew up in Brooklyn. Became a dominatrix. Now she's a waitress somewhere in Midtown. I was working as a waitress in Midtown. Okay, back on point. The finances of this movement and the people who run them beg a lot of questions. And it was interesting to see that I'm not the only one who's noticed this or who feels like these questions should be voiced. So that was a pretty good way to start my groggy morning. Monday. Let's see, what else happened today? Oh yeah, I used my working group's funds, Occupy Farms, to buy a laptop from J&R. I guess there goes my fiduciary responsibilities. You're so conflicted, Shaz. You're so conflicted. Fuck it. I have a receipt. I'm just borrowing it from corporation. What's the worst that can happen? So this is interesting. I'm writing out my experiment while I'm doing it. And that's when and at the end of this I end up in the church. So this is right before the church. I'm piecing it together little by little. So yeah, this is fucking January. So I did there's a flow to it. Land in the Park, early November. Farms, late November, early December. That girlfriend, those couple weeks, late November, early December. I guess Farms took off December, that's one way, because it took a couple weeks to fucking coordinate that. So that girlfriend, late November. Farms, early, late December. And then early December, and then what happened in January? Oh, this January, yeah. And then this January, Farms early late December, this January, and then the church ended January, and then the squat February, and then I bounced. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes, that is the working theory. All you need is working theory, and then you start plugging in real data into it. All right. The Pathology of Poverty, January 10th, 2012. Rereading that last post, I'm realizing that these novels are just a trick that the smart people use to deliver long-winded arguments, because I have so much more to say, but if I can't figure out an interesting way to say it, I know I shouldn't even bother. That was like a nothing paragraph. And I've already burned through 52 words in my quota today. 58, 59... 60, that was clever if you count those words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Aha! Oh, long-winded. Yeah, you can count them as one word. Hyphenated words are one word. Curse you, Shaz of past, you win this time. Arg. These first posts are more to set the pace anyways. This is the preseason. No one pays attention until the finals anyways. Wait until there's blood in the street, America. Then you'll tune in to what Shaz is saying. And Shaz, he'll be out doing something heroic or chilling on a beach somewhere. I'm not sure if he's decided yet. Jeez, blood in the streets, really, Shaz. That was a feisty little one. So I started off this morning not in McDonald's, but in an apartment on Staten Island. I'm on a couch taking pictures of old notes with a borrowed iPhone to upload them to the prettiest of pink laptops before I have to return the illicit good. I was in the process of taking a census of Zuccotti back in early November and had drawn some interesting maps before I realized that the full-scale detailed versions were being used by the upper echelons of this organization, of organizing. I was over there doing my census of the park, and then once I start talking to people and going to meetings, I realized these guys have like a whole fucking like vectorized fucking scale drawing of the park where everyone is and shit like that, and they're like planning out fucking like living pods and this and that. It's like, what the fuck are they? They're just doing like they're college kids doing like a project on the park. Well, we're like over there actually fucking living in it, being like, but we're just trying to get some tents. And that was a big old fucking deal. We were trying to get some tents delivered to the park, military tents, big ass fucking military tents. It would have been dope. It's a really nice, cheap way to fucking live. Fucking, we could do that in Slab City. You could just set fucking military tents and have 100 people. It's a good idea. But, yeah, we just need, that's a good idea, actually. A way to gather people together to fucking live together, to start figuring shit out. Because people working together is the strongest force. And if that's true, then that's the most urgent thing that we could do right now, is gather people together to work together. Because you transmit information so much faster in person than any other fucking medium. People just come together, live together, work together, brainstorm the actions that need to be taken to take over the fucking economy and or to free up the economy from the stranglehold of the people. Whatever. Figure it out. I bet we can figure it out. Oh, you just need a direction. Because like that's what like the first point is to put together a political party. So Flash Politics that'll be like the gathering. The gathering! Flash Politics, the gathering! That's what I should do. In Slab City we say, the gathering is happening. Flash Political gathering is happening. The gathering. And I'll just be like donations and fucking, yeah, to get the fucking company off the ground. I'll buy some property or I'll rent some property. We'll figure it out. All right. Okay. That was a very good idea, Shaz. Sometimes I feel like I have to patronize myself. Yes, Shaz, those are very good ideas. I'm very proud that you came up with them. I was in the process of taking a consensus of Zuccotti back in the early November and had drawn some. You notice how census and consensus also are similar words, huh? Before I realized that the full-scale detailed versions were being used in the upper echelons of the organization. That was probably my first hint that we were still in Kansas. The fact that Zuccotti had layers of people planning housing and logistics and maps, while most of the park had no clue. Back then, the problem of the rabble in the park, the occupiers, was already surfacing. You see, good ideas take good people to draft them. Populism is when this preordained draft is then taken to the public for buy-in. The technocrats decide. We purchase those decisions. People who disagree are narcs, and the world makes sense. I think they call this back on the block putting lipstick on the pig. I should know. I've got a nice pink little piggy I'm typing on right now. I can't make up enough to turn her pretty. There's a lot going on there, Shaz. We got to unpack all this. The problem of the rabble of the park. So now this is my backhanded way of saying populism is when the preordained draft is taken to the public for buy-in. Technocrats decide we purchase. So this is my fucking decrying democracy as it's practiced now. Someone called me a narc. Back on the block. I don't know what I'm going with that term. Back on the block. Back in my day, back when we were running the shit, lipstick on the pig. I was really pushing hard for this Occupy Kiss and then Kiss lipstick on the pig. I think that was just maybe like the sexual frustration coming out. That's why you got to like either be well laid or have your outlets, because otherwise they'll come out in other ways. And then it's like, I think I could have left that metaphor. It's like sometimes when you're writing or when you're doing other stuff creative, like you got to edit yourself. You got to be like, that's lipstick on the pig, as Occupy Kiss. There's other ways to fucking. And I relate to the fucking laptop, like little piggy I'm typing on right now. I can't make up enough to turn pink. I feel guilty that I used the fucking farm's funds in order to buy the laptop, and now I'm turning that into the metaphor too. And this apartment is leased by a couple with Occupy Farms who happen to be up at Woodstock right now. We call the barn we call it the barn because we're young and we think we're clever. See the Shaz? This is just feel bad for you. It's interesting, just that self-deprecating form of humor. This apartment is leased by a couple with Occupy Farms who happens to be up at Woodstock right now. We call it the barn because we're young and we think we're clever. A bunch of us from the working group crash here occasionally, and I forgot I was staying there sometimes too. And last night, half a dozen happened to wander in. In the interest of full disclosure, I informed the group of my ingenious borrowed laptop scheme with JNR. In the interest of my bodily health, they informed me that I was to return it immediately, but I have 2 weeks to return it. No. But otherwise, the money just be sitting there. No. But it's pink. No. Anyone have any lipstick? I don't know whose writing I hate more, my writing or that fucking last douchebag's writing. It's not that bad. It has. I like it for the fact that like I recorded stuff. That was the whole point. Like these things are reminding me of what happened, and that's everything else is just bonus. Now this is something that I've come across often in this movement, the pathology of poverty. In fact, I've come across it in life in general. My family at one time accepted food stamps, and my mother never had much more, and my folks never had much more than their chin above water as far back as I can remember. There was a time when I was an infant and there was a house purchased on the outskirts of Las Vegas to pay for my future education. I guess I could have been considered an inner tube. I guess that could have been considered an inner tube of sorts, or maybe one of those fancy floating chase lounges with the beer cozies and the pockets all over that held water that would turn warm in the sun. But this college fund floaty went the way of the savings and loan scandal, or maybe it was just a crooked realtor. Either way, I wasn't raised with much of a financial safety net, but I dealt with it. I realized that things are just things. Some people have access to more. Maybe some people don't deserve as much as they have. Maybe others shouldn't be so envious, but in the end, it's just stuff. I went and spent a couple $100 on just a couple pieces of wardrobe when I had a decent job, just to see how it felt. I frequented the Republic of Banana before I could appreciate the irony. But never was I rich by any means, but for me, a $75 t-shirt was like a golden toilet seat. I just wanted to see how luxury, or at least my idea of it, felt against my skin. See, this is just, you have to look at how much words and how much attention you're paying to a subject, though. That's where it becomes projection. It's like, all right, so they got mad about the laptop. Now I'm trying to defend myself. But then I'm fucking over-explaining me growing up feeling poor. And then my parents trying to justify that they were swindled out of fucking like a house. I'm just replaying stories that they've told me about their victimhood. And then things are just things, trying to act like I'm not materialistic. Some people have access to more. Some people don't deserve. So I say access, deserve. I don't mention hard work because I don't really believe in hard work right now. I haven't really applied myself yet in life to actually like make money. And you don't really realize how much effort it takes or how proud you can feel unless you actually go out and you get it. You have to actually believe in hard work, because you can also not believe in hard work, and you can fucking there's some bad beliefs you can have in life too, and laziness is one of them. So I realized that I was a little lazy back then. Things are just things, and some people have access to more. What about the hard workers in this one? Some people don't deserve as much as they have. Maybe, but just take it from them then. Not through physical force, but fucking that's what entrepreneurship is all about. You find a fucking competitive advantage. You find the lazy guy who doesn't deserve his share. He's just holding it for you. The commerce is where we can go into fucking competition with each other. Other than violence or like rhetoric is cool, like talking and stuff. But commerce is an outlet for the competitive urge. And that commerce establishes a balance which is as synonymous to justice as any other expression in society. It's like the unjust company won't survive. If they're bad to their employees, if they're bad with their supply chain, if they're bad with their finances, you have to operate with certain characteristics just like you have to individually as a company in order to survive, I think. And if not, let's just make the world like that. Let's hold companies accountable like we hold people accountable. They're just larger bodies, right? These are just ideas. But anyways, so I knew that was a blind spot even back then. I was like, because I could just, as for the writing, I'm like, why am I spending so much time on this? when I had a decent job. I never really had a decent job to buy fucking couple $100 worth of wardrobe until I did real estate. I never really had like 300-500. I can be like, all right, let me go buy some shit, or like fucking $6,000 to throw out like apartment furniture, or like fucking yeah. I'm just kind of talking my ass here, but I did buy a $75 t-shirt before, and I was like, that's a nice t-shirt. I like that t-shirt. But I think it's important, and this is I believe this. That's why after I wrote it, I was like, well, might as well go see how people with money live now. Not the most money, but I went and got a couple bucks. I had a car in New York. Not everyone can keep a car in New York City. It makes you feel like a king. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's important for people to see how the other side lives, not just the rich observing the poor, but the other way around, and not in reality TV rags to riches style that we see played out ad nausea on our televisions, not the I finally made it Horatio Alger story, really milking that young blogger demographic with a Alger reference, I'm sure. No, just a small little luxury to show that you're worth it too, to demystify wealth. It's just stuff. Yes, those jeans fit better. Men have asses too. Yes, things taste better. Although for some reason, Starbucks burnt ass coffee bucks this trend. Yes, there is such a thing as money hair and money teeth and a moneyed complexion. Some of my insecurities coming out. But then, it's just one way to live, and usually, if not always, there's a better, simpler way. When I was living in Puerto Rico last year, I paid $300 a month for a house on an acre of land and wild horses running through my yard. I could make my rent in a good day of playing with tourists on the beaches. So when I wanted to go and join a gym, I didn't just go to the local municipality building where they had thrown a couple weights into a musty closet. I went to the W, and I dropped $150 for a month of luxury. And to put in perspective, their gym bathroom was fancier than any house I'd been in on the island. They didn't lose electricity when Irene hit. They had their own power supply. They didn't even have mosquitoes within the walls of their compound. Bugs are so third world after all. And when you drop at least $300 a night, you want a hassle-free vacation experience. And there I was, dirty feet and dirtier mustache to take it all in. That's a nice part about buying your way into privilege sometimes. You got to keep it real among the stuffed shirts. No, ma'am, I don't own any shoes. I shouldn't even be in here, really. But I'm all paid up for the month, so you can go get me a glass of ice water, thanks. I'll get that good stuff, the water with the orange peels. Yeah, I pay good money to have orange peels in my water. You can't expect me to hydrate myself without the subtle complement of citrus. Just how do the poor do it? That's like my poor man's Dane Cook, or one of those comedians who's like kind of the whole time you're swaying back and forth between, is he annoying me or is he entertaining me? It's just entertaining enough. No, he's just fucking being annoying. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the pathology of poverty. Margaret Atwood wrote an interesting book about the storylines of debt, sin, memory, redemption, guilt, about debt being a cultural issue. Whatever debt is, and whatever this means for our debt-based monetary system, I could tell this morning that we were talking about more than a shiny pink Vaio laptop. People accuse me of stealing, although I don't know many thefts that come with a 2-week return policy. Relax, I promised. Let me get my blog online and throw up a donation button. It's an investment, I promise. But then the conversation turned funny. It doesn't matter. It's a principle. It's wrong. It's money. I ran into this type of thinking later that day when I tried to deal with finance to cash out some of our working group's receipts under the $100 daily allowance. A guy I know was having a principled argument over $1.40. Is this what money does? It makes us stand up for principles, huh? Maybe we should put a price tag on social justice then. I'm sure that a democratic society is worth more than $1.40. I'm not saying that this kid doesn't value real democracy, or that anyone I've met since coming to this movement doesn't share my values and hopes for a better world. It's just that usually in my experience, when someone's making a big deal about a non-issue, we're uncovering just the tip of the personal baggage iceberg. And one of my pet peeves being people who'd rather be right than be effective. Usually I chart an opposite course where these floating ship sinkers, when these floating ship sinkers drift into my radar. Yes, I seem fucking honor bound to extend every single metaphor I ever bring up in fucking this writing. Can he stretch the nautical theme? In the turbulent waters of American democracy, the seas were stormy and all hope was lost. We were a nation set adrift, 300 million people in a life raft no bigger than an IKEA pullout, only less comfortable, durable, or affordable. How do they do it? With the dark clouds of global terror, financial crisis, and a presidential election roiling on the horizon, from the other direction, a mysterious force swelled up from the abyss. A populist movement, a tidal force, the cresting majesty of people power began to lift rudderless America on that fateful August day and ferry her through the storms of her destiny, faster and faster, through the distractions, through the political fog, through the corporate sharks, onward towards her inheritance as a land of liberty and justice for all. The powerful wave bore America forward, before eventually smashing her upon the rocks. I think of these things and think about the Statue of Liberty across from me as I ride the Staten Island ferry back and let Manhattan recede into the distance, the perfect size, no bigger than a postcard, something to write home about. The guy to my right, same guy who this morning accused me of stealing, is now explaining the difference between liberty and freedom in maritime law. He says that we're all governed by maritime law because technically we were in water in the womb, or when we came out wet, or you pissed the bed until you learned to use the toilet. Or there's a good case for it somewhere in there. But I'm not listening. I'm looking forward to another night with my privileged laptop. You see, I wink, forgot the case on Staten Island, so I couldn't return it today. Shucks. I really shouldn't be our working group's financial point person. That was funny. In which Shaz blogs while stoned. And I'm reading it kind of stoned. January 11th, 2012. So I'm kind of morally conflicted at the moment about what I should make up the content of this post. You see, normally I've been taking notes during the day and writing them up at night or the next morning. For the post, Thursday the 12th is actually what went down Wednesday the 11th. And Wednesday night was a kind of weed night. Ran into a guy, happened to offer some. I just started writing. Now the writer in me really wants to edit this down to a coherent post, but the marijuana activist in me really wants to just let it hang out there as an example of stony thinking. I know so many people who would benefit from just letting loose their perspective some, putting down their egos and picking up a little head change. Maybe an insight into the stony psychic will pique their interest or confirm their assumptions. So, here's one for radical transparency, warts and all. Just remember, Shakespeare was a pothead too. Honest, out, brief bong rip. Life is but a coughing stoner. Now Cervantes, his thing was mushrooms. I'm so clever. There's no water. Oh, we got this. I can read this. 6 minutes. Corporations have their memos and their designs and what they produce. It is like their artwork, their creative content. Their profits are self-expression. We don't all want to be corporatists. We all want to be artists. We own the real world, not the other way around. I keep hearing talk of occupier burnouts and stress. This is just a sign of growth. Personal growth is a moment of stress. How people deal with that is very telling. It shows you a person's level of commitment. How did this whole revolution movement start? There was a man so committed to his principles, he was able to avenge what he perceived to be the ultimate assault on his personal dignity by killing himself. He committed murder on himself. How does that make you feel? Are you willing to kill another human being? Are you willing to kill yourself? I'm not saying that we should start recruiting homicidal sociopaths. I'm just saying that the threshold for this whole thing, or maybe I should limit it to all the people that I personally want to be involved in, is being willing to die for what you believe. This is why I didn't have many friends in the movement. Not everyone is as fatalistically tragic as young Shaz likes to believe. He is. It's okay. I think when you're young, what you're really scared about is just growing old. Anything but having another birthday and having to actually face the fact that I have to figure this shit out on my own. And that is why OWS is just going to replicate the problems of the world at large. It was initiated by them to head off revolution at home. Don't you see? It's the same thing that the U.S. government did to ward off socialism. Well, first they violently cracked down on the protesters, and they replaced the values of socialism that valued human dignity above all else with communism, a system that values efficiency, the collective commune before anyone else. Don't you see? This is a system purposefully set up to give you an excuse to betray the inherent love that you possess for your fellow man. You don't need to know how to love. You learn all your life how to hate. I'm just going. You don't need to know how to love. You learn all your life now how to hate. Most of our culture is a varying degree of hate. Hateful violence in movies, hateful self-interest, consumerism on reality shows, hateful bigotry and jingoist xenophobia in all our professional sports, and anywhere an American flag is really... I was in the military. From ages 20 to 22, I experienced firsthand the psychology of American aggression. They're not selling Tea Party t-shirts off the shelves in PXs across the country and our hundreds of global military outposts. The t-shirts that they're selling are eagles sharpening their talons of tanks and guns and soldiers ready for war. It is a culture of aggression, of first strikes, of taking and raping and pillaging. You think that more rapists just happen to enter the military? That just so happens that every military base around the world engenders ugly values in its community that surround it. Rape, gambling, prostitution, poverty. These are all decent ways to spend a Saturday night, but they're also the calling cards of imperial military outposts, which is outward projection of internal despair. It's a little moralizing, Shaq. It's a little moralizing. Other than rape, should we put rape in the same fucking... Gambling, prostitution, poverty. First of all, I'm born into poverty. Hopefully I'm not born into a rapeful situation. Rape is an act of violence against another. Let's get that out of there. Prostitution should be legal, and gambling is just fucking freedom. You just don't want fucking society based around those values, but like there's something to do. I don't want a society based around cocaine, but I want the freedom to fucking do it whenever I want. And let me decide fucking what's too much. The same with fucking alcohol and weed and all the other fucking ones. Everything, really. I'll decide I don't want to fucking do heroin. I already decided that. It's not, I ain't fucking not do heroin all my life because it was illegal. It was around me for most of my adult life. That's the sad part is fucking, I can't. It takes a lot of hard work to fucking make money. It doesn't take that much fucking, I got free drugs waiting for me. Most drugs. I wonder about that, the type of life where you got fucking most drugs just waiting for you if you wanted them. Gambling, prostitution, on the other hand, I have to pay for. Poverty I was born into. I just have to really fucking figure out what I was trying to say there. It is a sign of a system which is dying, which refuses to admit that it is both mortal and immoral. Immoral, yeah. See, this is a Christian shit when I said, and later on, mine is a works of faith. Faith of works. It's I said that when I signed off, when I was reading